Welcome back to Stocklabs for another weekly market recap. So, pretty decent week for the markets, pretty quiet, which we kind of expected from last week, and we knew we were coming into a short week after the holiday weekend. So, I'm just going to. My industries page has been acting kind of funny, so I'm just going to run this off of some watch lists that I already have made to follow the markets, and we'll just work off of those to sort of think about how our different sectors and stuff did. So this is some of the major ETFs, and we had SPY and QQQ had small up weeks. So Qs were up 0.68%, SPY's up 0.4%, and outperformer for the week was gold, up over 1%, and bonds up 1%, which is pretty good for them. The rest pretty quiet. So IWM, not a great week. We thought that IWM was going to play some catch up this week based on last week's recap, which didn't quite play out, but maybe it's just taking its time. So we'll have to see about that for this coming week. Okay, so this is our major ETFs, and I'll go into Screener so we can look at the breakdown for where the gains sort of came from, which is not that difficult to sort of infer just from the indices, but okay, 1 to 5 billion did minus 1.09%, and 5 to 10 billion minus 0.7%, 10 to 50 67 basis points down, and mega caps down 0.5%, and lastly, but definitely not leastly, are TerraCaps flat. Okay, so basically you could see as we went up the cap range, the returns got better. And you might ask, well, how can basically all these things be down and TerraCaps be flat and the market, SPY and QQQ be up? Well, that's just because those are cap-weighted indices. So you could tell that the rally has really thinned out the past couple weeks. It's hard to get gains in the, anything lower than, $100 billion cap. You really can't say much about it day to day or week to week because they're kind of all over the place. But these guys are dragging us wherever they want to go. So week to date on this is a list of just the biggest cap, and a lot of tech or all tech stuff. So up 0.8%. So if this watch list is up, the market's going to be up basically. The rest of the market is sort of immaterial, just based on how lopsided the market caps are with these, 2 trillion, 1 trillion, 2 trillion, 2.5 trillion. It's just going to be, they're just too massive to make a dent, even if a lot of small caps and things that are not as big are down. So that's just the way it is. Okay, and now if we want to look at industries, I'm just going to go to my other list. This is all the spiders, and I'll add week to date in here. So top performer for the week was real estate, which is kind of in line with what we were expecting last week. It's more of a reflationary type trade, followed by tech XLK. Obviously, this XLK ETF I think is like 40% Microsoft and Apple, so that makes sense. See, it's basically up the same amount as what that mega cap leadership index was. Then utilities, decent week. And what's XLY? Discretionary? Yeah, discretionary. Miners somehow were up, even with IWM. They usually trades pretty close with IWM, but it's like a beta IWM trade. IWM was down, like we saw earlier. Healthcare, decent. The healthcare kind of trades on its own. It's sort of, sometimes it's part of the risk off trade, other times it just catches its own wave, so whatever. And then the rest, yeah, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11 spiders that were up. The rest all down. So yeah, you could tell that we're really having a hard time sorting out a theme for the market where, you know, we can get something that where we can get something where there's like a trend that we can follow or whatever, because these are all sort of just rotating around. The mega cap techs or the terra cap techs are just dragging the index around, so it's a little bit hard, little bit difficult to navigate. And worst performers, so oil and gas. This is more services. This is like the exploration guys, and then these are like the smaller exploration guys. Biotech down, interesting, because we saw XLV was one of the top performers. Okay, and the rest, semis, probably a little bit of a surprise. This down almost 2% for semis is, you know, not nothing. Some people say that semis sort of lead the NASDAQ, which basically leads the market. So something to keep an eye on if this doesn't firm up next week. Maybe it's giving us a little bit of a signal that we should play a little more cautiously going forward. And trannies down. We thought trannies were going to bounce this week with the rest of the reflation trade, so that didn't pan out. Same as the IWM trade. And that's basically it. Banks have been soft because bond yields have, the momentum for bond yields going up, you know, completely reversed. So there was a lot of unwind in this trade, and I think it's probably just, XLF is probably just going to be more of a volatile trade going forward while the bond market sorts out its, you know, new equilibrium or wherever it wants to be. Okay, so looking forward, we'll go to screener and we'll see what intelligence says. Okay, so intelligence this is a lot of the same stuff that was on here last week, except biotech wasn't on here last week. So, or if it was on here, it wasn't this high up on the list. So the top picks are retail and regional banks. So again, the reflation trade, you know, Stocklabs really trying to make this happen. And then biotech, I think biotech, this actually might be our best bet for a little bit of a rally next week, because it's, like I said, the healthcare biotech stuff sort of trade independent from the market. They just have days that they do well or do poorly, just based on whatever. We have Kathy on here, ARK ETF. Okay, so that's also interesting. So we've got the top two are part of the reflation trade. Third one's kind of a wild card for biotech, and then this is really like momentum technology, which would most likely go with some sort of bond rally. But we don't necessarily have bonds on here like picked to rally. Although we do have the metals, so silver's on here, and there's three silver ETFs. SLV, well, SLV's unlevered, then ultra silver, and then physical silver. So, maybe Schiff's going to be making some noise this week talking about silver going to $50 again. We'll just have to wait and find out. But yeah, looking forward. We're coming into the first full trading week of July. So we started on a Thursday, Friday, and then we had the short week this week. So this is the first full week of July. We'll probably get cleaner price action than we've had before, because in the first week it was like on top or coming out of month end and quarter end, and the first half was ending. So that's a little weird. And then the short week is, like we said, is usually a lot of nothing, which is what we had this week. We had kind of a grind on Tuesday, Wednesday, big, quote unquote, big down day on Thursday, and then it all just reversed itself Friday into the weekend, and everything closed on highs. So, or not everything, but SPY QQQ closed on highs. So, yeah, I think at least for the first part of the week, you're looking at extending this rally a little bit and then seeing what happens from there. I'd be pretty surprised if it just dumps on Monday, but you never know. We play it by ear. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll, for day trading and stuff, anything goes. So inside Stocklabs, we'll be, having our live screens and everything and seeing what's running day to day. But overall, it's the summertime, so everything's pretty chill. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. We'll see how the week goes, and we'll evaluate it again next Friday. Talk to you guys later.